Hey everyone, welcome to Virginia International Raceway for the first race of round 3 of the Formula 1600 Championship. We're coming off of a mostly successful weekend at Watkins Glen, where we fixed our engine problems and we scored 2 top 10 finishes. So going into this weekend, we're hoping to continue that momentum and really solidify our place as top 10 finishers. But before we even look at the starting grid, we've got a problem on our hands. The sky has gotten dark and it started raining while we were on the pre-grid. We're on slick tires, and while you are permitted to change to rain tires during the race, my dad is my only helper this weekend, and he's not really capable of running around the car in an active pit lane in the middle of a race to change tires. So we can race on slicks on a damp track, and if the rain holds off, then the track can dry out pretty quickly. So it will be sketchy for a couple laps, but then the track will come in and we can be a lot more competitive. But if there's any standing water on the track, then the only options are to either risk continuing on slick tires or to pull into the paddock and withdraw from the race. So like I said, as we were rolling onto the track, it looked like it was just a light misting, and that the track would be damp but not wet. But as we continue on the sighting lap, it's pretty obvious that the rain was more severe than I thought, and it definitely requires rain tires. I'm down in 18th place, in last place, because we decided to make a gear ratio change after the last practice session, and we had about 2 or 3 hours to make the change before qualifying, and for some reason we just didn't have enough time. I mean, 2 or 3 hours should be enough to make that change, but we ran out of time and we missed the session, so we're starting again at the back of the field. So right now I'm analyzing the conditions for the track and trying to make a decision on whether or not we can stay out on slick tires. Up until this point, the track looks really sketchy, but maybe okay. But as we come up to the S's here, it's starting to get really, really wet, and you start to see the sheen and the tracks of the tires in front of you. Like right here, it's way too wet, and the cars in front are starting to throw up rooster tails. So it's not looking good, and this is a lot more water than I was expecting to see on the track. I mean, this is definitely full wet conditions. At this point, I'm just cursing my luck because I absolutely love racing in these conditions. A lot of people say it, and a lot of people hate it, but it is a lot of fun. I mean, these cars don't have a lot of power, but when you're in the wet, you know, you get wheel spin coming out, you can slide the car around. The only problem is that it's really hard to see when you're behind another car, and by that I mean it's really, really hard to see. When the cars in front of you are spraying up water, you don't have a windshield, of course, so all of that water goes straight into your face, and you can't even see your own hands that are right in front of your face. And you can't see the inside of the car, let alone anything else. But once you get over that, it's actually a lot of fun. You can, like I said, you can slide the car around, and you just have to acknowledge that you can't go as fast and you can't drive it as hard, but if you're smart, you can have a lot of fun with it. But not with slick tires. With slick tires, it's just miserable. So the field is coming around to take the green flag. Tom Schweitz is there in the white citation next to me. I think he decides to pull off the track, and I didn't realize that until now, that he's not taking the green flag. I think there's a bit of an advantage right now to being in the back. There's one car pulling off for wet tires. I think everybody probably should have done that. Because if there's any chaos in front, we're all on slick tires except for one other car that made a last-second change on the pre-grid. But we're all on slick tires. This is way too wet of a track for slick tires as we take the green flag. So there's definitely going to be chaos at some point, and being in the back here, I can just take my time, tiptoe my way around it, avoid any sort of conflict with anyone. Miraculously, everyone gets through turn 1 okay. Nobody even comes off the track. So I'm still deciding whether or not to park it, thinking maybe I can get away with it. If everyone else is on slicks, then I should be okay on slicks too. As I get loose and I spin it, I'm the first one to spin. I stall the engine. I don't stall the engine. I keep it running. It's very quiet though. But I get it going again. And at this point you realize that somebody is going to make a mistake. Somebody else is going to go off. And it's very likely that there's going to be a full course yellow pretty soon. see already there's 1 and 2 cars off. So those guys didn't make it much farther than I did before spinning. And now I'm just gingerly driving through. I think at this point I've decided that this is a bad idea to stay out on slicks. The wet track is way too wet. Of course, I'm doing all this commentary with the hindsight of knowing what happens. But at this point, you know, there's still a chance that I could race, but this should be, I mean, in the dry, this would be flat out. And you can see the really ominous rain clouds. From this perspective, the weather usually moves from right to left. So those rain clouds are to the south and sort of moving through, but it's still not very good conditions for the tires that we're on. Like I said, with a more professional team and a better funded team, we could have a mechanic in the pits ready to change tires, and most of the teams do. So my mindset at this point is to maybe tiptoe around if I can, and if anybody else spins off, which is highly likely, then I can pick up their positions just by virtue of being on the track longer. You can see I couldn't even get to full throttle in the straightaway. Of course, these cars don't have any downforce whatsoever, so if you hydroplane, then you're entirely at mercy of whatever trajectory you were on. And the grass is going to be even more slippery than the track, so if you slide off the track onto the grass, it's not going to stop you, and there's a good chance that you'll hit a wall. I stay out on the track for another lap. Like I said, the idea is that assuming that other cars, especially cars that are fighting with each other, will get tangled up or will make mistakes and slide off the edge of the track and maybe get stuck in a wall or damage something and not be able to continue. If they do that, then I can just pick them off and I can get maybe 1 or 2 spots. So I want to hold out as long as I can. I know at this point that I'm going to retire at some point because you can't race when you're going down the back straightaway. It's like a big slide. When you're going down the back straightaway at like a quarter to half throttle, you can't race like that. So I'm doing one more try. There's a car off already, so I get 1 spot just from the decision to stay out for 1 more lap. And I think they might throw a full course yellow for that if he was stuck. Yep, there's the full course yellow. You can see the corner worker to the left. And at this point, I decide all the other cars are going to change tires under this yellow. But like I said, we can't do that. So there's really no point in staying on the track because everyone's going to be a lot more competitive, a lot faster, and I'm just going to be a danger to myself and a danger to everyone else once they come up to lap me. So I decide to pull it in at the end of this lap. So if we look at the results, I started in last place in 18th, and I picked up 2 spots. There's that one driver that retired at the beginning of the race and didn't take the start. And then Alex Barron, I think he was the one that spun off that caused this yellow flag. So it's really frustrating that we just had some bad luck with the weather and that our sort of small status prevented us from having the resources to prepare for something like this. So we just have to take it for what it is. I did set the 8th fastest lap time in one of the practice sessions that we did, so I know that the car is decent around here. Like I said, we're trying to establish ourselves as a top 10 team, a top 10 car, and then so this is just a bump in the road. It was very frustrating at the time, but in the grand scheme of things, it's just it's an anomaly. If it had started raining maybe 5 to 10 minutes before the race and it became obvious that it was going to be a wet race, then we could have thrown the rain tires on, and it wouldn't have been a problem. But just the fact that it started raining right before the race, and it didn't even look like it was going to be that bad, because on the front straight it looked damp but not totally wet, so it was very deceptive. But we'll regroup for race 2 and race 3 and see how we get along there. So thanks for watching, everyone. I'll be back with race 2 very soon. and I'll see you then.